TBN took $96 million from donors. The donors had no idea it was going to a theme park. On opening day, the Jewish Defense League was already outside, before a single guest had paid, comparing what happened inside to Auschwitz. To understand what was built here, you need to understand Marvin Rosenthal. Rosenthal was born in Philadelphia to a Jewish family. His mother ran a candy store. At some point, she began reading the New Testament. Rosenthal watched her life change and wanted what she had. He converted, was ordained as a Baptist minister, and spent decades running Zion's Hope, a ministry whose stated purpose was converting Jewish people to Christianity. In 1989, Rosenthal moved to Florida and began looking for land. The idea was specific, a physical destination, something you drove to, paid admission for, and spent a day inside, walking through cobblestone streets, standing in front of replica temples, watching performers in period costume move through an ancient world, not a church, not a museum, a place you experienced. Getting the land was nearly impossible. A real estate agent drove Rosenthal around Orlando, quoting prices in dollars per foot of frontage. Rosenthal thought he meant dollars per acre. When the agent understood the budget, he lost interest. Rosenthal's son spotted a piece of land where two major highways crossed, Interstate 4, 5 miles east of Universal Studios. More expensive than anything Rosenthal could afford, he bid anyway. The current owners were in bankruptcy. He got the land, 12 years, $16 million, and on February 16, 2001, the Holy Land Experience opened, with the Jewish Defense League outside and a live crucifixion inside. Walk through the gates, and you entered first-century Jerusalem. Cobblestone streets, stone archways, replica temples, ancient market stalls, performers in period costumes speaking in the accents of ancient Judea, a scriptorium housing one of the world's largest collections of biblical manuscripts, Dead Sea Scroll fragments, ancient Torah scrolls, a Gutenberg Bible, and in the park's amphitheater, every day, multiple times a day. An actor playing Jesus led through the park in chains, beaten, nailed to a cross, and resurrected in full theatrical detail for families seated on stone mushroom benches. Tourists who had driven to Orlando for Disney World drove past signs for the Holy Land Experience and decided to spend an afternoon in first-century Jerusalem instead. Families who had never visited a theme park of any kind drove from across the South because they had seen it advertised during Christian television. Rosenthal estimated he needed 180,000 visitors per year, paying $17 each to break even. At its peak, the park drew 250,000. It was never enough. By 2007, the Holy Land Experience was $8 million in debt. The buildings needed maintenance. The theatrical productions needed upgrading. The competition from Disney and Universal meant the park's $17 admission could not compete on spectacle. Rosenthal had spent 12 years building something he believed in and was now watching it fail on economics. And here's what arrived next, and what it cost the people who had no idea it was coming. In June 2007, Trinity Broadcasting Network bought the Holy Land Experience for $37 million. TBN was the world's largest Christian television broadcaster, reaching hundreds of millions of viewers across every continent. It was founded by Paul and Jan Crouch, and it was Jan who made this park her personal mission. Jan Crouch was immediately recognizable to TBN's global audience. Pink hair piled high, extravagant jewelry, gold curtains, gemstones. A portrait of Jesus wearing boxing gloves that she personally installed in the gift shop. After her husband Paul died in 2013, the Orlando site became her primary residence. She oversaw every addition. The Church of All Nations, a Colosseum-style 2,000-seat auditorium completed in 2012 where the crucifixion reenactments moved indoors. New gardens, new Jerusalem locations, new production values for the biblical dramas. TBN promoted the park across their global network, live shows filmed for transmission to hundreds of millions of Christian households, and the money came from the same viewers who watched TBN every week and believed they were funding Christian television. In 2010 alone, TBN received $93 million in viewer donations. $42 million went to the Holy Land Experience that year. The park was drawing 250,000 visitors and generating approximately $9 million in ticket revenue. The gap between what it cost and what it earned was being closed by donations from people watching Christian television who believed they were giving money to a broadcaster. Nobody told them otherwise. The Passion Play continued every day, multiple performances. Every performance sold to families who had driven hours to see it. Families who had driven from Georgia and Alabama and Texas watched the Passion Play in the Florida heat and believed they were at the most important theme park on Earth. Jan Crouch believed that too. Then Jan Crouch died May 31st, 2016. The attendance numbers tell you everything that happened next. Peak attendance, 250,000 visitors per year. 2013, 180,000 paying adults. 2016, ticket sales dropped to $7 million. 2018, $5.5 million. 2019, attendance down 50% from its already declining baseline. The park that Jan Crouch had made her personal mission began collapsing the year she died. The maximalist vision, the gemstones, and the boxing gloves Jesus portrait, and the pink-haired woman who believed with absolute conviction that this was the most important theme park on Earth, left with her. The Passion Play continued. The Scriptorium remained open. The cobblestone streets of first-century Jerusalem were maintained, but the energy that had sustained the park through years of financial losses, the personal conviction of one woman who lived on the premises and treated every addition as an act of faith, was no longer there. Then COVID arrived and sealed it. In February 2020, TBN announced the Holy Land experience would shut down. They laid off 118 employees in a single statement. Every theatrical production ended. Every restaurant closed. Every retail shop shuttered. The actor who had played Jesus left for the last time. The Jerusalem streets went quiet, not because the day ended, because the day would never come again. In March 2020, the gates closed. TBN said very little publicly about why. Between 2007 and 2020, Trinity Broadcasting Network donated $96 million to the Holy Land experience. That figure comes from TBN's own tax records. They paid $37 million to acquire it, $96 million to sustain it, $133 million total. Sale price in August 2021, $32 million to Advent Health, a Seventh-day Adventist hospital network. Demolition began January 2023. The replica of ancient Jerusalem was knocked down to build a hospital. TBN has never explained how the decision to fund the park with viewer donations was made, has never explained why the park was allowed to drain donor money for 13 years without achieving financial sustainability, has never addressed what the congregation deserved to know about where their donations were going. When $96 million of viewer donations disappear into a theme park that is then demolished for a hospital parking lot, does faith require an explanation? Marvin Rosenthal built something he believed in with 12 years and $16 million. He was removed from the board before TBN arrived. He never got to watch it fail. The Scriptorium is gone. The Church of All Nations is gone. The cobblestone Jerusalem streets are gone. The stone mushroom benches where families watch the Passion Play are gone. The boxing gloves portrait of Jesus that Jan personally installed in the gift shop is gone. The Holy Land is a parking lot. Nobody has ever said sorry. If you visited the Holy Land experience, if you sat on those stone mushroom benches and watched the Passion Play, drop it below.